cultural bridges between our lands.
Welcome to ASEAN and Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We're coming to you live from Manila and Cambodia. Hello, Crystal. Thank you for keeping me company today on this program.
Hello, Alma, and to all our online viewers, I'm Crystal Ann Ballesteros, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines, Thailand is to cut the quarantine for vaccinated travelers to 7 days starting in October as it seeks to revive its battered tourism industry.
The Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, or RITM, will complete its investigation report on the Philippine Red Cross, or PRC, Subic chapter's false positive COVID-19 test by October 8.
The Department of Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez said fitness clubs and centers should be part of essential sectors that are allowed to operate under Alert Level 4.
New delivery robots in Singapore are helping residents living near a shopping center bring home groceries and deliver food and parcels. The Department of Health, or DOH, on Monday night reported a total of 18,449 additional cases, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 2,509,177. There were also 21,811 recoveries and 93 deaths logged. The DOH said that it will report backlog deaths in separate advisories after no deaths were reported from September 24 to September 26. Of the total number of cases, 6.3% or 158,169 have died. 92.2% or 2,313,412 have recovered, and 1.5% or 37,494 have died. Of the 18,449 reported cases, 17,953 or 97% occurred within the recent 14 days, which is September 14 to 27, 2021. The top regions with cases in the recent 2 weeks were National Capital Region with 3,060 or 17%, Region 4A with 2,465 or 14%, and Region 3, which is 1,922 or 11%.
Meanwhile, Thailand is to cut the quarantine for vaccinated travelers to 7 days, starting in October, that according to officials Monday, as it seeks to revive its battered tourism industry. Pre-pandemic Thailand attracted nearly 40 million visitors a year, but COVID-related travel restrictions have hammered the sector, contributing to the economy's worst performance in more than 20 years. The kingdom is pushing to reopen despite still being in the grips of a deadly third wave of infections driven by the Delta variant. Authorities said that starting on Friday, the quarantine period for fully jabbed visitors will be 7 days, halved from the current 14-day period or 2 weeks, provided they have a vaccination certificate. Visitors without certification will have to quarantine for 10 days if they enter by plane and 14 days if they come overland. All will require at least 2 negative COVID tests. The relaxation also applies to the Thailand so-called sandbox scheme in Phuket, its most popular beach island, which was launched in July as a first step towards restarting tourism.
Indonesia reports its lowest daily COVID cases in 14 months. Let's hear more good news from December for us. Hi, December.
Hi, Crystal. That is correct. That's the latest news here in Indonesia. The country recorded the lowest daily tally of newly COVID-19 cases since July 14. Data from the Health Ministry reveal 1,390 new infections in the past 24 hours. The total number of active cases stands at 40,270, a 92% decrease from the peak on July 24, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 4,209,403. A further 118 coronavirus-related deaths have been recorded in the one-day period to take the total death toll to 141,585. The country slowly begins to ease restrictions and open door to international visitors. Chief Investment Minister Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, who is in charge of government's COVID-19 response, said the government has allowed international arrivals at a few entry gates, but restricts visitors from high-risk countries such as the United States and Turkey. Foreign visitors must show proof of full vaccination, undergo diagnostic tests, and spend 8 days in quarantine. Another 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine were delivered in the country. More than 49 million Indonesian citizens, or 23% of target population, have been fully vaccinated since the campaign began on January 13. Jakarta, the national capital, has the best vaccination rate with 90% of population fully vaccinated. The resort of island of Bali comes second at 70%. Back to you, Crystal.
Thank you so much for the update, December, and we missed you here in the program. Always stay safe and healthy.
I miss you all too. Thank you, and stay safe in Cambodia. Reporting from Jakarta, Indonesia, this is December para us. We live in interesting times.
Back here in the country, Metro Manila will remain under alert level 4 until the end of the month due to the still high healthcare utilization rate that, according to the Department of Health. In an online press briefing last Monday, DOH Epidemiologist Bureau Director said Althea de Guzman noted that while the number of COVID cases in the region started to decline, many of its medical facilities are still filled with infected patients. In a Business Mirror report, she noted that the average new daily COVID cases last week was down to 17,783, which was lower than the 19,946 cases in prior weeks. However, she noted that the Health Intensive Care Unit, or ICU, bed utilization for COVID-19 in NCR remains high at 76%. The health official also said the DOH is now considering reviewing said metrics upon the request of the business sector to further ease quarantine restrictions in NCR through a lower alert level. Under the alert level system currently being piloted in NCR, the DOH will will determine what alert level will take effect in a specific area affecting the activities which will be allowed there. Alert level 5 has the strictest restriction, which is similar to an enhanced community quarantine, while alert level 1 has the most relaxed measures.
According to the Jakarta Spot, Tourism and Creative Economy Minister Wishnutama Kusabandio launched We Love Bali, an educational program and cleanliness, health, safety, and environment campaign for Bali's residents, tourism, stakeholders, and creative economy entrepreneurs. The program is aimed at boosting the island's travel and creative economy industries and at the same time giving Bali's tourism industry a positive image. AntaraNews.com reported that Bali residents were invited to see for themselves how CHSE measures were implemented at various tourist attractions as well as hotels through the We Love Bali program. Wishnutama explained that the program would include 12 familiarization trips featuring 3-day and 2-night trips to various destinations in Bali. Bali reopened to tourists in August amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, and the Department of Health on Monday signed a joint memorandum circular outlining the guidelines for the pilot implementation of the face-to-face classes for basic education in areas identified as low risk for the coronavirus. During the virtual ceremonial signing, Education Secretary Leonor Briones said the two departments work together in crafting the operational guidelines of limited face-to-face classes to safely reopen schools amid the pandemic. Take a look.
Gusto ko lang emphasize na yung face-to-face na i-implement natin o implement ng ibang bansa na model natin, na adore natin, na inggit tayo, ay ibang-iba sa face-to-face na nasanayan natin. Ang face-to-face ngayon, hindi naman 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. Hindi naman araw-araw.
We are counting on the cooperation of all parties involved because we cannot be rendered helpless by the pandemic. Society must, as a whole, continue looking beyond the pandemic. And it is my hope that the pilot implementation of these measures can bring about a new hope.
This age group has been identified to be the least affected by COVID-19 and the most in need of actual face-to-face learning as far as basic reading and writing are concerned.
8% of infections are attributable to children and 0.2% of deaths are attributable to children under 14 years of age. In the light of this and in the light of the considerable harm being caused to children because they cannot interact in face-to-face learning, and we are talking not only about academic learning, we are also talking about psychosocial and mental development of children.
DepEd Director for Planning Service, Roger Masapol, said the pilot implementation would be done among a maximum of 120 schools across the country, prioritizing key Stage 1 learners, or kinder to grade 3, after passing the school readiness assessment by DepEd and their local governments. Briones noted that the guidelines implement the prevent, detect, isolate, treat, and reintegrate framework, highlighting the importance of the availability of water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities, proper ventilation in classrooms, ensuring that classroom layouts enable physical distancing between persons, prioritization of students who will benefit most from limited face-to-face learning, modality management of foot traffic, and conduct of simulation activities before implementation of the pilot.
Meanwhile, Okta research said that while the daily number of new COVID-19 cases is going down, Metro Manila remains under a high-risk level of infection. Let's take a look.
11 days since the start of the alert level system, and we are seeing already the effects of the alert level system, and we have not seen a spike in cases. The NCR is still considered high risk, although there are 5 LGs that in our criteria were considered moderate risk, pero NCR as a whole is hopefully continue to decline. Once we get it down to 2,000 cases per day, our trends should be fairly, it should be such that hospitals will start to see a decrease in occupancy.
Meanwhile, NTF Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said while daily vaccination rates this month were ranging from 400,000 to 500,000, the government would be refocusing on the vaccination drive once COVID-19 in patients starts to decrease.
Staying in the country, fitness clubs and centers should be part of essential sectors that are allowed to operate under Alert Level 4. That according to the Department of Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez. Now, during the palace briefing, Lopez said that the gym operators have appealed to the government to consider their sector as part of essential business activity. Let's listen in.
Ang gym sa ngayon, pinopropose po natin sa IATF at pinag-aaralan ngayon ng Technical Working Group. Ang dahilan naman po dito, nag-appeal itong sector na to dahil baka raw sila ay hindi na konsidera as an essential activity. At nung nireview naman po namin, at least from our end sa DTI at yung ibang agencies, nakikita natin yung rasyonale, yung pagkadahilan at justification na ang gym nga naman ay pampalakas ng immunity dahil sa exercise will boost immunity ng ating mga kababayan against COVID. At tulad ng pag-encourage natin sa outdoor exercise, naniniwala po kami dahil sa mga testimonya rin ng mga ibang tuloy-tuloy na nag-exercise na talagang tumataas ang kanilang immunity level based on mga indicators, mga test nila. Again, isa pong paalala ito na as a level 3, allowed po yan. Ang pinag-uusapan na lang natin dito ay sa level 4, ay kung maisama siya sa isa sa parang dine-in at personal care services na ilimitahan ang operation nito sa level 4 para lang make continuity ang ating mga kababayan sa mga activities na masasabing hindi naman mapanganib at na mapapanatili ang safety. For example, kung ilimit ang indoor capacity nito sa gym sa level 4, i-allow lang yung maybe 20% tulad ng pinopost natin last week, i-allow lang ang fully vaccinated para lamang dito sa level 4 no na indoor activity ng gym. At alam naman po natin pagka sa gym pwedeng no removal of mask at all times, non-contact, may physical distancing na mga 4 meters apart at any given point in time, at ilimit lang yung number ng members. Kung dati ay 100 ang allowed, let's say sa isang lugar na 400 square meters na gym, i-limit dun sa 20% nun. So kung 20 people lang, imbis na 100. So may mga, at saka strengthen yung ventilation. May isang purifier, air purifier sa bawat 50 square meter, buksan ng window, buksan ng ang pintuan para may hangin. Things like this can also be done para lang mapanatiling safe yung lugar na yon. So kaya naniniwala kami na may solusyon naman pagdating sa indoor.
And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. Crystal and I will be back right after this break.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
And you're still watching ASEAN in Focus. The Philippine National Police, or PNP, on Tuesday lauded the Senate approval of the measure seeking to raise the age for determining statutory rape from 12 years old to 16 years old. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar, in a statement, said the measure would be a great help in protecting young persons from all forms of sexual exploitation and abuse. As he expressed gratitude to the lawmakers over the bill's passage at the Senate, Eleazar said it was necessary to have an urgent response for child sexual abuse. At the PNP, the Women and Children Protection Office handles cases of all forms of abuse against minors. Voting 22-0 and 1, the Senate passed on third and final reading Senate Bill 2332, or an act increasing the age for determining statutory rape and other acts of sexual abuse and exploitation to protect children.
In other news, the House of Representatives on Monday overwhelmingly approved on final reading a measure providing a national energy policy and regulatory framework for the use and development of electric vehicles and their development as an industry. Take a look. Now, with 195 affirmative votes, the chamber passed on third reading House Bill 10213, or the Proposed Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act, which aims to encourage the growth of the electric vehicle industry, which could lead to more job opportunities for local skilled workers and reduce the country's reliance on imported fuel. It also proposes to create a national policy and framework to encourage the uptake of electric vehicles in the public and private sectors, with the creation of the Electric Vehicles Advisory Board, as well as the comprehensive roadmap for the electric vehicle industry, or PREVI. Deputy Speaker Wes Gatchalian, the principal author of the bill, said that gradually shifting to renewable sources of energy to diversify the power mix can address the Philippines' problem of energy supply.
Meanwhile, the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, or RITM, will complete its investigation report on the Philippine Red Cross, or PRC, Subic chapter's false positives COVID-19 test by October 8. In his report, during President Rodrigo Duterte's pre-recorded talk to the people aired Monday night, Department of Health, or DOH, Secretary Francisco Duque III said an initial investigation showed all of the 49 total hospital personnel have tested positive in swab tests processed by the PRC's molecular laboratory in Subic. Let's listen in.
Well, Mr. President, yung pong preliminary report po sa akin ay yung sa PRC Logistics and Training Center sa Subic. Ito po yung sumuri ng mga nasopharyngeal swab. Ito po sa throat at saka sa may ilong. Yung 49 out of 49 lumalabas po na nag-positive. So 100% lahat. No exception, lahat nag-positive. That was a result that was released on September 3, 2020. So ang ginawa po nung mga nagkaroon ng positive test results sa PRC, sa Logistic and Training Center sa Subic, nagduda po sila. So pupunta ngayon sila sa Medical City Clark Laboratory. At doon po, September 6, nagpa-swab ulit sila, nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swab. At lumalabas, out of the 49, 5 po ang nag-positive lamang. So 10% lang po compared sa 100% sa kabila. Ngayon po, kasalukuyan ay iniimbestigahan po ng Research Institute for Tropical Medicine. At meron po silang report na lalabas pa lang, makukumpleto ang kanilang investigation, Mr. President, by October 8.
President Duterte previously asked the DOH to prove the false positive incidents. President Duterte said PRC Chairman Senator Richard Gordon should have done his supervision job properly.
Meanwhile, President Duterte said that the vaccination of children And the general population could hopefully be done within October due to the increasing vaccine deliveries to the country. In his talk to the people on September 27, the president said that the country is expecting at least 100 million vaccine doses by the end of October, citing the report of Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. Because of this, the president said we can expand the vaccination program to the general population and hopefully even to the children. Let's listen in.
Many cities, particularly in Metro Manila, Baguio, Cebu, Iloilo, and Davao, have already surpassed 50% vaccination of the target population. According to Secretary Galvez, we will get a total of at least 100 million doses by the end of October, which means that maybe we can expand the vaccination program to the general population and hopefully also our children within October. Also, we continue to ramp up our vaccination drive and are targeting to administer around a total of 55 million vaccines by October. I am pleased to report that over the past several days, the number of new COVID-19 cases have been declining, and the reproduction rate has also been decreasing. Well, maybe within the last 2 days, there was a light spike, but overall, over the entire country, it is decreasing.
Now, the NTF is just waiting for the go signal from the World Health Organization and the country's National Immunization Technical Advisory Group. So the country could start vaccinating children as well as give booster shots to health frontliners who are working in COVID wards or those exposed to attending to COVID-19 cases. Vaccines against COVID-19 are said to be effective up to 6 months since the administration of the full dose.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a ceremony on Monday to receive another 2.6 million AstraZeneca vaccine doses donated to Vietnam by Germany. The vaccines arrive at Ho Chi Minh City base,
Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a ceremony on Monday to receive another 2.6 million AstraZeneca vaccine doses donated to Vietnam by Germany. And the vaccines arrived at Ho Chi Minh City-based Tan Son Nhat International Airport last Sunday. Addressing the event,
National Airport on Sunday. The event for Tu Andong expressing
with 3.45 million vaccine doses and medical equipment and supplies. This is an expression of the solidarity between the two countries in the 10th year of their strategic partnership, which is October 11, 2011 to October 11 of this year. German ambassador to Vietnam, Gildo Heldner, said this is the second delivery of vaccines from Germany within 2 weeks, affirming that Germany stands with Vietnam in fighting and overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. To date, Vietnam has received 54 million through the COVAX facility foreign government aid and contract, of which 39,232,772 have been administered, with nearly 8.3 million fully vaccinated people. Meanwhile, Hanoi will allow outdoor physical and sports activities from September 28 after more than 2 months of suspension, that according to a document issued by the Municipal People's Committee on Monday. Take a look. Now, the city also allows reopening of trade centers, fashion, and cosmetic stores, while food and beverage establishments are only allowed to serve takeaways. The Department of Health shall continue coordination with relevant agencies to conduct screening tests for COVID-19 at lockdown or high-risk areas while speeding up vaccine rollout as planned. Hanoi has reported 4,201 COVID cases since the fourth coronavirus wave hit Vietnam in late April. The capital began relaxing its coronavirus restrictions starting September 21 after spending around 2 months under strict social distancing measures. The city of more than 8 million people has vaccinated around 5.8 million people with one COVID-19 vaccine shot, and around 1 million people have been fully vaccinated.
Stay tuned as ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Mapupuno ng saya, impormasyon at inspirasyon ang hapon mo sa Afternoon Power. Handog sa inyo ng Net25. Sasabay sa inyong tanghalian ang inyong Happy Time Barkada at 12 noon. Alamin ang mga pangyayari sa ASEAN nations, ASEAN in Focus at 2 p.m. Ang inyong paboritong awit komentaryo kasama si Leo Obligar sa Piskante ng Bayan. At mga balita sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa, hatid sa atin sa Aguila Probinsya. Siksik ang hapon mo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, ang inyong Afternoon Power sa Net25.
Hindi ka na mauuli sa latest at what's trending kada umaga.
Welcome back to the program. Huawei Indonesia has reaffirmed its commitment to supporting cybersecurity knowledge, sharing through the renewal of its agreement on cybersecurity cooperation with Indonesia's highest cybersecurity body, the National Cyber and Crypto Agency, or BSSN. The MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding Renewal, sealed off a new tripartite cooperation agreement between Huawei, BSN, and Institute Technology Del, or IT Del, during a signing ceremony on Monday. Huawei is a global provider of information and communications technology, or ICT infrastructure, and smart devices. Under the renewed MOU, Huawei and BSSN will extend and further expand their collaboration beyond capacity building to facilitate advanced learning, professional certification, and competence upgrade on cybersecurity matters. Meanwhile, under the new agreement, IT Del will be developed as a collaboration hub for cybersecurity for universities across Indonesia.
Meanwhile, the peso declined Monday to its lowest level in more than a year due to the general strength of the greenback on possible Federal Reserve easing, while the local stock barometer ended sideways as investors weighed options before the third quarter's end. The local currency depreciated for the fourth consecutive trading day against the US dollar after finishing the week's first trading day at 51 from 50.65 last Friday. Its weakness showed early on after it opened the day at 50.72 from the previous session of 50.32. It also traded between 50.72 and 51, resulting in an average of 50.921.
Bank executives have backed the move to grant fully vaccinated individuals greater mobility, citing its contribution to the domestic economy's recovery from the pandemic. Quote, with more than 50% of the population vaccinated in the metropolitan and adjacent areas where most business activities are situated, spurring economic activity can be best achieved, end of quote. The Bankers Association of the Philippines, or BAP, said in a statement issued on Monday. The BAP said the mobility of Filipinos who have received full doses of vaccines against the COVID-19 will encourage spending on various goods and services. It said this will especially boost recovery bids for the affected sectors like tourism, hospitality, and transportation. This as experts weigh the easing of the granular lockdown system being pilot tested in Metro Manila, among others. The government started to pilot test the alert level system in Metro Manila this month after placing the country's national capital under alert level 4 following its shift to the general community quarantine.
In other news, oil news, the price of Brent crude oil jumped today above $80. That's for the first time in almost 3 years on expectations for surging demand and concerns about supplies as the world slowly emerges from the pandemic crisis. Now, with the rollout of vaccines and lockdowns this year, bets on demand for the black gold have surged, while an energy crunch in the northern hemisphere has sent natural gas prices to a 7-year high, leading to a spillover into the oil market. At the same time, crude stockpiles have shrunk, while increases in output by OPEC and other major producers, including Russia, have been unable to temper the rally in the commodity. Now, Brent climbed 0.9% in morning Asian trade in Singapore to $80.24, its highest level since October 2018. West Texas Intermediate gained 0.9% to $76.07. The news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. Crystal and I will be back right after this break.
Ang trabaho naman talaga ng maritime group ng PNP is to enforce the maritime laws.
Tayo lang yung stricto, pero in other parts of the country, pwede na naman ang tourism.
Definitely, we are ready to respond to a possible spike.
Sapagkat ang aming intensyon ay makatulong lang sa mga tao na wala talagang magamit na gamot.
92 voted for this resolution, which will make it stronger, calling on the Justice Department to come up with more stringent ways to be able to avert these hate crimes against Asian Americans.
Mas marami po tayong magagamit ngayon na mga tools or mga equipment.
Maraming salamat, Weng, at sa buong puwersa ng Balitalakayan sa pagkakataong ito.
Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Weng de la Fuente sa...
At itong Balitalakayan, we live in interesting times.
Turuan din natin ang mga bata ng tamang paghugas ng mga kamay. Basain ang kamay ng tubig at lagyan ng sabon. Kuskusin ang iyong mga palad. Gayon din ang pagitan ng mga daliri. Pati na ang likod ng mga palad at daliri. Ganon din ang iyong hinlalaki. Kasama ang mga dulo ng iyong mga daliri. Pagkatapos ay iyong palapulsuhan. Gawin ito ng kahit 20 segundo. Pagkatapos ay banlawan ng tubig at patuyuin.
Iba't ibang sakuna at kalamidad ang nararanasan ng bansa. Kapag may banta ng panganib, kailangang maging alerto at kung kailangang lumikas ay magtungo sa ligtas na lugar. Bilang paghahanda sa mga ganitong pagkakataon, mahalaga na may gobag na dadalhin ang pamilya. Narito ang dapat na nilalaman ng gobag ng isang pamilyang handa. Mahalagang dokumento sa selyadong lalagyan, flashlight, kandila, posporo at silbato, radyo na may bago at ekstrang baterya, first aid kit kasama ang panlunas sa lagnat, LBM, sugat at iba pa. Ang mga gamot na regular na iniinom ng pamilya. Magagamit para sa mga sanggol, bata, matatanda at may kapansanan, pera at mga barya. Pagkain na madaling ihanda, di na kailangang lutuin at sapat para sa 3 araw. Inuming tubig sa saradong lalagyan at sapat para sa 3 araw. Telepono, power bank at charger. Lubid, lumang dyaryo, matitibay na lalagyan. Damit, kapote, bota at mga sanitary supplies. Sleeping bag o banig at mga kumot. Suriin ang mga laman ng go bag kada 3 buwan at palitan ang mga laman nito na malapit nang masira. Ilagay ang go bag sa lugar na madali itong makita at makuha sa oras ng sakuna.
Back. New delivery robots in Singapore are helping residents living near a shopping center bring home their groceries and deliver food and parcels. Now, after they go grocery shopping, residents can bring their packages to a collection point at a mall and then schedule a delivery. Now, a robot named Camelo, developed by tech company Otsa, will bring the items to the residents' lift lobby at the appointed time, and the user can scan a QR code to open the compartment. Again, let's take a look.
So Camelo is a delivery robot. In fact, it's an autonomous delivery robot. Okay, so it's able to deliver your parcel, your goods, if you feel like it's heavy for you to carry back home. In that. So you can just drop off your parcel in Oasis Terrace and set a time where you want your parcels to be delivered or your goods to be delivered. Same for groceries. Then you can just wait at your lobby, and at the stipulated time that you stated, you will just come down and just accept your groceries and goods. So the robot is equipped with sensors for obstacle avoidance and path planning. For one example is the 3D LiDAR here. Another one is the ultrasonic sensors, 2 at the front, 2 at the back. So these ultrasonic sensors are the same sensors that you see for cars, right, on the front and the back, which they use for parking. That's where you hear the beep 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 sound. All your goods and parcels, right, and even your groceries that's delivered to you, right, you can be assured that it's disinfected by this UVC LED module. Yeah. So yes, it will turn on for 5 minutes. Then it will shut off for 5 minutes. It just needs 5 minutes for your goods to be disinfected.
We now live in a digital world. Communications and trade are growing exponentially across borders and devices. However, these advances are not taking place at the same speed for all communities within ASEAN. This digital device needs to bridge with the innovations to support inclusive economic growth. Watch the video to find out how digital innovation enhances #ASEAN connectivity to capture new growth opportunities.
There you go. Thank you, Crystal, for keeping me company as always.
No worries, Alma. And that's the latest news in the ASEAN region. Thank you for joining us today here in ASEAN in Focus. This is Crystal Ann Ballesteros from your EBC Cambodia Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And thank you for joining us today. That's it for our broadcast. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place, here on ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.
We know that this is a scary time for all of us.
The coronavirus is changing the world.
Changing our lives.